Hi, and welcome back to number 3 of our podcasts at Priority Mind Management. If it's in the mind, it can be managed. We're carrying on with a series of talking about how mind management helps with mental health, how it helps with mental performance, how it's been helping people who've been in therapy and they still have anxiety, stress, and depression. And we wanted to introduce one of our international coaches all the way from the United States. One of our excellent coaches, Paloma.litteral. How are you, Paloma?
Oh, I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
No, I always get excited when we get into the podcast because we get to deep dive and help people understand how mind management coaching, which is not therapy, which is not counseling, will genuinely get people the answers that they're looking for. And before we started the podcast, we were talking about your successes and your wins, not only using mind management on yourself, but how you've gone through therapy in the past. It wasn't one of those solutions that you wanted. So we'll get to that. But introduce everyone, Paloma. Who are you? Where are you from? And how excited are you to be here?
I'm thrilled beyond belief to be here. I'm Paloma. I am a priority mind management master coach. And who am I? I am from the United States. I actually have been most recently, before I started coaching, teaching English as a second language. So I know people all around the world. I love learning about other cultures and other people and other languages. And so that really describes who I am. I love to learn lots and lots of different things. I like to use lots and lots of different things and tools and techniques. And I don't want to be put in a little tiny box. And so that helps when helping other people, because everybody else is different, right? Everybody has their own unique everything. So when I'm working with another person, I get to pull from all of this experience to help them. And we find what works for that person. Because when I went to therapy, that didn't work. It was like, oh, we have to tick all these boxes, and that didn't work for me. And that really is the essence of who I am, is let's learn as much as we can and create whatever it is that we want.
Nice. So perfect. So I love how you said you did go to therapy and everything is unique. Somebody asked me the question the other day and they went, well, how can we put in a process so it's kind of like following a flow chart? I'm like, you can't. You actually can't, because everybody's different. Everybody's got different decisions in their life that's created this pattern of thinking, this pattern of behavior that creates the outcomes that people are struggling with at the moment, which is anxiety, stress, depression, overthinking, overwhelm. I mean, the list is endless that people just keep thinking, well, they have to go through with it. And you touched on it just perfectly there. We're going to deep dive that even more, because I want to really talk about you, actually, Paloma, and how the process of you, because we try really hard not to work with a label.
Yeah.
People come to us with a label. Labels. I know, labels that either make you or break you. We know this. It either makes you or break you. It gives you an identity, of which is helpful for some people, but it can be so detrimental for so many other people. So, Paloma, let's talk about, I know you live in Idaho now, originally from California.
Yep.
And how long have you been in Idaho?
Oh, a really long time. Off and on, I've lived here too long. I've lived here off and on probably close to 20 years, maybe. Yeah.
20 years.
Yeah, but originally from the desert, just north of Los Angeles. So I miss my sunshine. Yeah.
Right.
Love the
desert. The only thing I know about Idaho is potatoes.
Yes.
There's a lot of potatoes in Idaho.
There are a lot of potatoes, especially in the southern part of the state.
Right. Yeah. And that's all I know about the information I would like to chip in about Idaho. Chip in! There we go! There's even a pun for everybody. So let's talk about, because you've got a fantastic story, Paloma. One of the first times we had a chat, and you were telling me about the childhood and then getting into therapy, and you hit it on the head. You went to that one session, you got rattled off an absolute hell of a list of things that you would just absolutely tie you up in knots. So, Paloma, talk to me about your journey, your
Mm.
journey, your experiences to getting to therapy, before therapy. Tell me about that.
Oof. So I say my childhood was colorful because there were a lot of things that happened, and some of the colors were really awesome. I had people telling me, you can be anything, you can do anything, you're amazing, you can learn anything, and you know, you're wonderful, and we love you. Those are really nice colors. Liked those. Then there were other things that happened that were uglier colors that you know, we don't want in the box of crayons, but they come anyway. Things, you know, we all hear things, maybe we interpret information or experiences as you're not enough, you're not good enough, or I got a lot of you're too much, you're too much, you're too loud, you're too intense, tone it down. So both ends of the spectrum there, and that happens to a lot of people. And then there were other experiences where people sometimes were literally saying to me, you're worthless, you're disgusting, you're nothing. And there was, you know, everything in between. Sometimes it was the literal expression, and sometimes it was just my interpretation of the events. But sometimes it was the same person saying to me, you're amazing, you can do anything, and almost simultaneously saying, you're not enough, that's not good enough. And there was a lot of, as time went on and the adults around me made their choices, there was a lot of physical abuse, emotional abuse, sexual abuse, a lot of addiction, just a lot of phobias, and just a lot of problems, and a lot of really ugly colors that went into that crayon box. And I, by the time I was 13, was really intricately planning I had a couple different suicide plans, had a long list of all the ways you could kill yourself. And I was so proud of it. It's such a sad thing to be proud of. Um, so I did end up in therapy. I went to a couple different therapists actually, and some of them were really scary, really not. That one wanted to make me angry. That's the way to motivate you. That didn't work. Another one, really beautiful, lovely, wonderful person, very kind, very gentle, really good at her job, but sitting around and talking about how was your day, and tell me this story, and let's play with sand, and let's make a photo album. I wanted to get better. I wanted to feel like I could be a human being and enjoy my life. And those things maybe sometimes helped to release a little bit of the pressure, but they didn't get to the root of the issue. We didn't fix anything. I felt like I needed to be fixed, and we weren't fixing me, even though some of them were really lovely people. And of course I did get, like you said, lots of diagnoses, and a long list of labels. You have anxiety, you have depression, not just go ahead.
Yeah, no, just because we'll talk. The labels is kind of the important part of the story, especially
Yeah.
for the labels are scarier than the actual outcome sometimes. I
Yeah.
mean, the second you're given a
Yeah.
label and you go and find out what that label is, that would carry on even more depression, more anxiety, more frustration, loss,
Yeah.
just that soul searching of, well, that's it, I'm done for the rest of my life, right?
Yeah, well, because the point of the label is to give you a lot of information with a tiny little word or a phrase. But who decides what that information is? Sometimes that information is like an emotional imprint. You have this disease. Oh, you're going to die. It's really sad. It's really horrible. You can't. Well, no, there are people who have survived XYZ disease or problem or what. It doesn't necessarily mean that. But we think about, when we hear that label, oh, I knew so and so who had da da da, and they had this outcome, and they're miserable now, or this bad thing happened. And so we have all that emotional attachment to the label. And wow, I had enough problems. I had enough emotional baggage. I didn't need any extra. So, for example, when the doctor said, oh, you have bipolar 2, what is that? I don't even know what that is. Well, it means you're depressed. I think I said that at the beginning of the visit. No. It means you, even when you're high, you know, you have a high mood. Your mood is high. You're still depressed. I know. How do I fix it? And well, I can give you a referral. And that just didn't help. I never got to the underlying cause of why was I having so much anxiety, so much depression, so much trouble with PTSD and flashbacks and things that I was unable sometimes to function.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I was fine. I could pretend everything's wonderful. I'm doing just fine. Thank you very much. And it was, nobody knew I was having an issue. Other days I couldn't get out of bed, or I was stuck in the bathroom vomiting blood all day, or I was in a corner in a little ball, shaking and crying uncontrollably. These are not normal things. These are not things that people should be experiencing. This is not how you enjoy life. How do I fix that? What do I do to make it better? And of course, I tried medication and talk therapy, and let's try this special light, and let's try, this exercise and this routine, and none of those things, even though some of them maybe helped a little bit, nothing fixed it because I wasn't fixing the root of the problem.
I love how you say you weren't fixing the root of the problem. And I think when we've been talking, when I talk with like a lot of prospects and a lot of clients, and I say the reason mind management is different is if you get to the root of the problem and we look at that root of the problem and we pull it out, yank it out, change the perspective, look at it from a different angle, actually everything that you think you have kind of disappears. The labels, the anxiety, the stress, the overwhelm can absolutely dissipate. It can be that quick. Remember, I told you about one of the clients who had been in therapy for 7 years. And we did something in 45 minutes. She went, oh, I don't even have anxiety anymore. I mean, it was that quick. Quick.
Sometimes it's really, it seemingly from the outside, it looks really easy. There's a lot going on inside in your mind that's going behind that. And on the outside, it might look like, oh, you just snap your fingers and she's fine. But it's not. It's all the stuff that's going on in the mind that we're managing that's doing it. And the brain is amazing. Our brains are fantastic. Think about all the things that we remember, that we know how to do, that we calculate all the time. We can drive home by ourselves. We don't even know what's happening. We're lost somewhere else thinking about this thing I have to do tomorrow, or this thing I'm worried about. And somehow we get home and somebody's like, oh, did you see that new store? What new store? What are you talking about? You didn't see it. You drove past it. No, our mind was somewhere else. It can do amazing things. All we have to do
Don't
is
get me started on
it.
flow states. I love flow states. I love it. It's true. The mind is one of the most fantastic places that you can live if it's happy and if it's healthy. It's a phenomenal place. If it's not a happy place, it will absolutely destroy you. And that's a phenomenal way of looking at mind management. Is if you manage what's in the mind, of which we can, most people don't think we can, that's when you start making some amazing changes. And thank you very much for sharing your story as well, Paloma, especially about the labels that you were diagnosed with, PTSD, bipolar, these labels that we get given to us. And then because the amount of times I'm talking to people out and they say, oh, yes, I have PTSD. And I'm like, right, okay, someone's never explained to them that, no, actually, you don't have it. It's not something you have. It's not yours to own. There is things that we can do to get past those things. And that's the power of mind management. But it does become part of your identity.
Well, exactly. Just like, sorry, go ahead. I was
just
going to say,
it, Paloma.
like we say, oh, I'm anxious. No, I'm not anxious. I feel anxious. It's a feeling that I have. It's not who I am. I am Paloma. I am not anxious.
Oh, I love the way you say your name. So you really do go Spanish when you say your name, right? You do know that, right? That very I am Paloma. I am Paloma. I love that. Fantastic, Paloma. Fantastic. So it's lovely how you say you don't have to be stuck. And I always have those conversations with a lot of people, and people say, oh, I feel like I'm broken and I need fixing. I'm like, you're not broken. You don't need fixing. You just need better mind management. No one's broken. No one need fixing. But you hit on the term there, I feel.
Yeah.
There's a lot of I feel broken. I feel these things. How would you help somebody understand that most people's feelings might not be correct?
Oh, that they might not be correct. What do you mean they might not be correct?
Well, we have a lot of feelings that, oh, I feel like I'm broken. You're not.
Yeah.
Just because you feel it. I feel
I
not
see
good
what you're
enough.
saying.
I feel like I'm not good enough. How many times do people say I feel not good enough? I know you
Yeah.
feel it, but you're not. That's
Yeah.
incorrect. So a
Yeah,
lot of the
you're
times,
fantastic. Yeah.
a lot of the times your feelings are incorrect.
Yeah. I think, no, I understand what you're saying. I think that's a really great question. I like proof. Don't just, I was, I was really raised with this idea that I don't really care who you are or what letters you have after your name. I need evidence. So look for evidence. Look for evidence of what you're saying to yourself. Am I not enough? Am I this? Am I that? Can I give you an example
Please
from
do.
myself? This actually happened just the other day. I was trying to work on this limiting belief that is so irritating, really just clung on for a long time. And trying to figure out, where did it come from? I don't want it. I want it to go away. And finally, when I relaxed, I realized, so I had this belief that if you really desperately want something, you don't get it. You can't have it. That's a horrible thing to believe. Of course, that's a crayon we're going to throw away.
Oh, I
So,
like that.
so I realized I remembered this experience that I had when I was quite small, desperately wanted one of those toy kitchens. And bottom line, we couldn't afford it. Really wanted one. There's a whole long, of course, dramatic story behind that. But the bottom line was, you can't have it. So, okay, I was remembering this and processing all this information. And I, of course, immediately came up with 500 million, not really, reasons why that was true. Look at that happened in my life that says this is true. You don't get what you really truly want. And then I realized this limiting belief, where it came from. And I was talking to my mom and I was explaining my epiphany. And I was telling her, so I think this is where this came from. I don't get what I really want. And all of a sudden, I remembered a time I did get something I really wanted. I was a little girl. I really desperately wanted a Cabbage Patch doll. And I got to go to the store. Do you remember Cabbage
I
Patch
remember
dolls?
Cabbage Patch dolls.
I loved Cabbage Patch
Oh,
dolls.
my sister had one.
Yeah, I went to the I went to this. Oh man, I thought the wall was like 20 million feet high. Yeah. And I looked at, my mom was so patient. She let me look at every single one. And I looked at their names and what are they wearing and what does their face look like. And I picked out this beautiful doll. Her name was Lindsay Coral. And I got Lindsay Coral and she was my best friend for a really long time. So as soon as I remembered that one thing, there's one thing that proves I got what I really wanted. And after that, the floodgates were open. And I remembered about a bazillion things, which is a lot more, by the way, than 500 million things that I didn't get. I remembered about a bazillion things that I got that I really wanted. So that's one way.
I love it.
Yeah,
The
that's one
hairs on
way
the
to
back of my
shift
neck
it.
have just stood up. There's not many, so I do feel them.
All from a Cabbage Patch doll story.
Do you know, as you're talking about Cabbage Patch Kids, because I was a guy, I don't think it was for guys in the UK. I think there were some boy ones as well, but I got into Garbage Pail Kids.
Oh,
Do you remember the
okay.
Garbage Pail Kids?
I remember. I forgot about those.
Dizzy
I don't think
Dave,
those were
Mad
that
Donna.
popular here. Yeah.
So I had all the cards, the sets, and obviously you get rid of them. Now they're worth thousands.
Of
Garbage
course,
Pail
yeah.
Kids. Oh, they were like the trashy version of the Cabbage Patch Kids.
Yeah.
Same
So the
face,
moral of the story
trashy.
is, if there's a popular toy,
Yes.
don't buy two.
Yes.
One you play with and one you never touch.
Now, if I was allowed to turn the camera around, you would see the unboxed and boxed Superman toys that I have everywhere. Because I
Yeah.
absolutely do that. There's always one to play with and one to be boxed. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love
Absolutely.
that. So it was, we started talking before we got into this. It was like you wanted to get the message across to no one has to be stuck.
Yeah. I felt stuck when I was in that, I was, I think specifically when I was having flashbacks.
Yeah.
And I was in the corner shaking and crying uncontrollably and hyperventilating because I didn't know when I was. I didn't know the date. I didn't know where I was. And it's a very intense, very scary feeling. And I love now you can Google what's today's date, and you can just talk to it, and it will tell you what the date is. And I'm old. We didn't have that, so it was terrifying. And when you don't know where you are, and you don't know when you are, and you're not really sure who you are, right? Because I started out, I can do anything. I can be anything. I get to choose. I had all the power. And then, oh no, all these bad things happen. And maybe they're not right. Maybe those people were wrong because look, they made these mistakes. So then I am worthless and I can't do anything. I can't be anything. So that means I'm stuck here. I don't want to be here. I'm stuck. How do I, and no, I keep asking for help and nobody can help me. How do I get out of this?
Yeah.
And so many people feel like that.
Yeah.
So many people, so many kids feel like that. I went to my niece's school a couple of weeks ago for an event, and I could just see, talking to some of the kids, she's in middle school, talking to some of them, a lot of them, they feel stuck. Yeah, I'm in foster care, and this is my label, and this is my situation, and what do you do?
Yep.
Just that shrugging kind of, and it's so heartbreaking.
Yep.
And so because I had that legacy of you learn things for yourself, you teach yourself, and you educate yourself. Thankfully, I was able to grab a hold of that, and had some wonderful support within my own family. There were some really fabulous people. Not everybody's bad. I was able then to start building some of those skills and learning some of those techniques and those things to do, and found a way to learn to love life. And later, now we call that mind management.
Love that. And it shows on your face, Paloma. Absolutely, you glow.
Yeah.
For anyone that's watching this, you glow.
Thank you.
That's the light that we emanate once we work on it and live to our, absolutely. I absolutely love that. Your unique experience on life, what you had to go through as a child, growing into an adult. It's a similar story for so many people, but when you're in that darkness, or I loved your reference to the crayons, when you're in the crayons of the dark crayons, not the colorful crayons.
Yeah.
You just don't see a way out.
Yeah.
And it's a scary, scary place to be there. And I always remember the place I was. And so that conversation you were talking about being worthless. Now, was that the conversation that you heard yourself? Or was that what had been told? Is that the conversations we create on the inside? Because that's, I always talk to everyone about their monkey minds. People are scared of their internal thought tracks. They're scared of the conversations. They think, oh, because they've heard of the terms of bipolar, mental illness, schizophrenia. Once those conversations start getting loud, we start to think, oh, I can't talk about this because, oh my God, I've just had that thought. Oh my God, I've just had that. And it's scary. And we repeat the pattern. And that's what goes into our shells. And that's why we have to get the message out to, look, we've all got those voices. Some people act on them. Some people don't act on them. It's about understanding those thoughts, understanding those conversations. So those conversations you had, were they the ones that locked you up internally?
Yeah, absolutely. I was being told that from the outside as well. But the thing is, you don't have to, just because someone says that to you, you don't have to take it. You don't have to keep it. And that's a skill that you learn. It's not easy. It's not easy at all, especially when you first start. It gets easier. It gets easier. But to take that, and thankfully I had people also saying you can do anything. So I had a little something to start with. But yeah, that internal, oh, maybe they're right. Maybe I am worthless. maybe I am nothing. And then it doesn't just stop. It's not like you just have this thought one day and your whole life is miserable and that's the end of it.
Correct.
No, you have this thought over and over and over again. And just like I was talking about the evidence for the good stuff,
Yeah.
well, your brain wants you to be right. I personally, I really enjoy being right. Everybody does, right?
There's always that
I'll be
little pat on the
honest.
back sometimes. I was right. I was right.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I'll be honest about it. I love being right. Everybody loves being right. So your brain's going to look for evidence to prove you right. And even in the moment, if you aren't sure, you're 50-50 about one or the other, which evidence are you looking at right now is the loudest? Which evidence is the most life-threatening? Well, when somebody's hitting you or attacking you, the evidence that you're worthless is much bigger and louder in the moment. Yeah, and you're not remembering, oh yeah, there was that person who actually liked me. You don't remember that in the moment. You're too busy. I have stuff to do. This person's hitting me. I have to deal with that. So it is that internal dialogue that happens as those events go on. And you just continue to repeat those thoughts or even just the questions. And then you just start to believe, well, the question, am I worthless? I guess it must be true. I don't know. I keep asking the question.
The evidence of me getting punched would suggest that I am. So we're looking at the wrong evidence.
Yeah.
Paloma, that's a
And
heartbreaking story, but thank you for sharing.
Yeah. Oh, well,
Yeah.
people need to know that they don't have to be stuck. That's a huge part of why I became a coach, because I could take this information and make my life happy and be just fine and be done with it. And that's all. And I can continue teaching English, which is a lot of fun, and do that. I don't have to be a coach. I want to be a coach. It's fun also. And it's really exciting. It is. And when you see somebody not only understand something, like this aha moment of, oh, okay, I can change this belief. That's right here. But when somebody realizes I can change that belief, and you know what? Then I can do this and I can do that and and you know what? I can do anything. When somebody gets to that point, that's the most exciting thing.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
You are one of the best at it as well, Paloma. You genuinely are. It's a skill that you took away from the training, and it was absolutely amazing to see what you did with it. It really was. So honestly, thank you from Graham and I mean that sincerely.
Oh, thank you. You know what? When you love what you do, and it means a lot to you, and you see how good it is and how useful it is, then it's really easy to do well at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No, and coaching's quite a big thing in America as well, isn't it? Let's be honest.
Yeah. In general, it's there are some little pockets where maybe people are like, oh, I don't know about that. But for the most part, yes, it's I need a coach for everything.
Correct. And what I'll be honest with you while we're sharing this, some of the successes that I found with being a mind management coach is it kind of takes away the stigma of therapy and counseling. Because a lot of people will say, especially guys, I always say I'll work with guys, but generally most of my clients are ladies and teenagers at the moment, actually. And it's been
teenagers are awesome.
Do you know what? They're quite receptive to it. And the teenagers that I've been working with recently have said, oh, I didn't want to go see a therapist. I didn't want a counselor. So it just came along around that the mind management coach absolutely working through their understanding of the language, the linguistics that they use, the understanding, and being able to help reframe them and understand things differently. It's like, oh, so I don't have to struggle with this. Like you said, we don't have to feel stuck. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And it has been amazing. The whole journey of the priority mind management and the coaches that we have, it's a phenomenal journey. It really is. And there's only 20 world-class coaches prior to mind management. And that beautiful little niche that you sit in, that you are 1 in 20, Paloma, makes you an absolute, what's the grand word I'm looking for? It makes you one of few but one who can serve many. And that is something
Oh, yeah.
that's, oh, do you like that one, Paloma? The hairs on the back of your neck. You like that
That
one?
was good.
One
That
of
was
few
good.
who can serve many.
Can serve
That
many,
might be,
yeah.
oh, well, we're using that. We'll use that for a LinkedIn post.
Okay.
Brilliant. I love that. One of few who can
Mhm.
serve many. So is there anything else you want to share with us in this cracking little podcast for Paloma and the world? Not just
Oh,
Paloma,
goodness.
but for the world.
For the world. Oh, no pressure. Wow, there's just so much. I think, you know, there is a lot of stigma, like you talked about with therapy and mental health and mental illness. And, you know, the thing is, if you have a mind, you have mental health. And it's somewhere between really, really good and really, really bad. Well, where do you want it to be? Well, let's get it there. That's all. So mind management is not complicated. It's not anything that's, scary or there's anything bad or wrong, or all it is learning how to deal with the things that are going on in your head. And that really shows so much discipline, shows a lot of really great qualities, right? That we really admire and appreciate in other people, because mind management isn't a therapy. It isn't a movement or a lifestyle, it's developing a skill, a series of skills that everybody should have. And sadly, a lot of people don't have the opportunity to develop those and learn those on their own or growing up in childhood for whatever reason. And it doesn't make you bad or wrong. It just means, well, you don't have something. So let's go get it. You don't have milk at home? Go to the store.
I love it.
Yeah, it's this thing.
Absolutely fantastic. You could not have explained it any better there. Well done, Paloma. Getting Cuddy speechless. Well done. Shivers down the spine. I love that. That's absolutely fantastic.
My life is complete if I made you speechless.
So what we can we do, as I do with all the podcasts and stuff like that, is I'll put your email address on. It'll be on YouTube, and everybody can get the access to it, and they can email you if they want to work with you and they want to speak to you about the solutions that you offer, the solution-based coaching. For what it's funny because I've got I'll speak about the variety of clients that I have.
Yeah.
Because it is, I'm working with teenagers to ladies going through things, to gentlemen going through things, to an older generation. To it's such a universal tool that actually, and I think the most powerful thing, and this is what the feedback I get, is I was so scared about coming to see you because I didn't want to get diagnosed. I didn't want to get that label. I didn't want to get diagnosed. And it's a powerful thing that, well, I can't do this. Let's find out why. And then next week you'll be able to do that. Okay, perfect. Then it's that stepping stone. Well, if I can do that, what else can I do? Exactly.
Yes.
We start you that ball rolling of thinking. And it is about it's about removing the fear and the stigma of labels and things that really just probably incite more fear within ourselves. Inciting that more fear, and we really are trying to pull that fear down, pull those barriers down to say that this is genuinely what's going to be able to help you move forward. Fantastic, Paloma. Is there anything else you would like to share with our lovely listeners?
I can't think of anything. I'm sure there are a million things, but I could go on for hours and hours about it.
I love the fact that you can talk about it for hours, because I do. And I noticed a lot of people falling asleep when I'm talking about how powerful mind management is. Oh my God, he's talking about mind management again. I'm like, I know, but the world needs to know. The world needs to know. Paloma, thank you so much for not only sharing your story, but sharing your smile.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me and doing this podcast and everything that you're doing to help people.
You honestly, when you came onto the train of some of our coaches, we just knew you were to take to it like to a duck to water.
Oh.
And you really have, Paloma. It's been absolutely fantastic to see you grow and shine in that role. You are all the way in Idaho. Now I'm on UK time, so how many hours behind are you from me?
Oh, quite a few. It's 8:45 in the morning here. So
9 hours.
9 hours difference.
9 hours behind. That's perfect for some of our, yeah, no, that's perfect for some of the clients that we have, because it's different timescales. Absolutely fantastic. Well, Paloma, thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's an absolute joy to have you on the 3rd episode. It's a joy to be able to talk to you, for you to be able to share those stories of your childhood, what you went through, and the power that mind management has, and being a priority mind management coach is absolutely phenomenal. Thank you so much. To anyone that's listened to this podcast, check out into the bio. We'll be talking about Paloma in there. We'll give you a little email address as well, so that you can get in contact, and you can book in and get talking to Paloma, because if you are stuck and you're wanting to move forward, guess who's the person to do that? It's Paloma. See what I did there? I did the Spanish Paloma for you.
Very good. Muy
As
bien,
always,
buenazo.
as always, if it's in the mind, it can be managed. Big love from Cuddy, and we hope you enjoyed this podcast. Bye for now.